Hello everyone and welcome to another SST members interview. Today we've got a very special interview with a member of Society of Sports Therapist, Shannon Brooks. Shannon's a graduate sports therapist from Leeds Beckett University and the lead sports therapist for Hallam FC. Welcome Shannon. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. So as some of you may have noticed over social media over the weekend and various news outlets, Shannon was faced with a life and death situation, and thankfully when called upon to act, she came through with flying colours. Shannon, can you talk us through what happened?
Yeah, as many people know, when you come out from half time, the officials always go and check the nets to make sure there's no holes or not being damaged through half time break. As the official checked the nets and went back to his starting position ready for the ref to kick off again, we noticed that it just collapsed. So I went running straight over there and realised he was actually having a heart attack. So straight away called for a Defib and someone else to ring the ambulance. Luckily, the other ground had an emergency action plan in place, and someone knew exactly where to go and get the Defib from. And they went and grabbed that, fetched it over. While they was doing that, we started CPR. Luckily, I had other people to help me, so I was doing the chest compressions. Someone else was doing the rescue breaths, and then when the defib arrived, we obviously placed that on him and let the defib do its work.
Cool. Did you have a doctor with you or any other help from any other sort of professionals?
No, it was another player that actually helped, but luckily he was a fireman, so he did have first aid training. But there was no other sports therapist or physiotherapist or doctor or anything of that level.
Cool. And who phoned for the ambulance and how long did it take for it to arrive? Because obviously in that sort of situation, you need as much help as you can get as quickly as you can get.
To be honest with you, I think the first help arrived within around 4 to 5 minutes, as there was an on-call emergency ambulance driver that lived in the village. So his reporter went off and he headed straight down to the ground. He arrived, and then shortly after, the ambulance arrived. And I think around 2 ambulances was on the pitch, 2 ambulances outside the ground. There was the air ambulance, a couple of cop cars. They really did send the force in, to be honest with you. And they all did arrive pretty quickly.
And you're obviously trained to deal with such situations, but training and it happening in real life's very different. How did you feel when you realised what was happening in front of you? Was it a case of you had a second to think about it, or was it a case of you just went straight into training mode, if you like, straight into doing your job?
Yeah, if I'm honest with you, at the time I went just into autopilot mode. It didn't hit me until after I'd handed over care to the ambulances that it sort of then hit me, and it did get to me a little bit. But in the moment of time when I was like taking care of him, you just sort of went into autopilot mode. Everything just takes over. Your training, your instincts, everything just kicks in, and you just get on with it. You don't think of the severity of the situation while you're dealing with it.
And how did it feel when the linesman, Mr. Jarvis, did come around?
Oh, it was wonderful news to hear from his family, to say that they'd actually been speaking to him the following day. That was amazing. That was the biggest reward anyone could ever offer.
Yeah. So you mentioned you gave chest compressions and then you used the defib. How important was it to have that defib by the touchline or near the touchline, if you like, or near the ground?
Hands down, without the defib, I think we would definitely be talking about a very different situation, because we managed to get him having an output before the first responder arrived, which was within less than 4 to 5 minutes. So obviously, it just goes to show there that in that time, we obviously worked on him, got a heartbeat out there. Obviously, that then reduces the risk of like brain damage, things like that. So obviously, the quicker you can get that output back, the better for the patient.
Yeah. And clearly football clubs are starting to realise the value of having our sports therapist members working pitch side, and you definitely obviously proved why that's the case. But what's the situation with football teams and defibs? Does every sort of non-league team have to have one? Does every sort of semi-professional team have to have one now?
I believe it's not a full regulation for all leagues to have them, but certainly in our league it is. You do have to have a defib, but I know lower league clubs don't.
And obviously, when you're in that situation and you need a defib, it's important that you have access to one, isn't it? So is there anything that you think needs to be done going forwards to improve sort of that side of things?
Yeah, definitely. I think there should be a lot more funding available, or at least the ability to be able to buy defibs for clubs that essentially don't have a lot of money to be able to just go ahead and buy something like that. Whether that's they can loan it for the season time, and then obviously it goes back to wherever they loan it from for off season, so it's more affordable for them.
Yeah.
Just anything really to help it be accessible to everybody, whether they're a multi-million club or just work off volunteers. Everyone should have that ability to have life-saving equipment available to them.
Yeah. Now that you've had a week to sort of reflect on it, what are your sort of reflections now looking back? How do you feel about the whole situation?
It was definitely the better outcome that anyone could have imagined, but obviously, essentially, it doesn't always turn out that way. And for people that have to deal with something like that, it's obviously the more recruitment they have to give that patient the best chance of survival, it will also give the therapist or the person treating them more confidence in that they did everything that they possibly could. Whereas if they didn't have access to the defib, there's always that, what if we had the access?
Yeah.
Could it have been a different story? Whereas if it's there and they can have access to it, it gives everyone the best chance. And also it gives people that was treating on the patient the more reassurance that they literally did everything that they could.
Yeah, good. Okay. And finally, how is Mr. Jarvis? Have you had any updates on how he's doing or anything like that?
He is at home. He's seeing family, so that's all really good. The latest I heard, he did go for a slight little walk the other day, just a couple of minutes. But the doctors have told him just to aim for 60 minutes by up to 4 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So he is getting about slightly, but obviously he's also resting and recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's saying that he's feeling better each day that goes by, so that's really good news.
Good. Well, thank you for talking to us today. You've done yourself proud, even though obviously you'll tell people it was just you doing your job last weekend, but you have done yourself proud. And well done again. Thank you for talking to us. All right.
Thank you.